Wrath is up. Alright, he's gonna do the fire thing. Yep. Alright. Massive damage. Learn to fight. Learn to fight. Fire breath. Oh man. I'm immune, right? Immune in this bubble. I'm literally cheating right now. I'm not even using potions. Just kidding, I'm using potions. I'm using a second potion. Wait! Why am I dying? Why am I dying? What is happening? There's too much shit on the ground. I have to move. All the potions. Alright, this is the execute phase. Oh, I got 2 potions back. We're fine. Wrath is up. He's gonna move, I think. Oh wait, no, he already did that. That's right. I should have done way more damage than I did there. He's dead! He's dead! Got him. Alright. Nice. One shot. One shot. Legendary. It's gotta be a legendary. Wait, is there literally no loot? Literally no loot? Alright, must be loot after the fact or something. What's going on, everyone? This is Snoo. It's a day 1 Barbarian experience video from yours truly. This is the morning after. I figured I'd go ahead and sleep on it, digest it a bit, and give you the more fresh take on how I think Diablo 4 is shaping up, at least as it pertains to the campaign and day 1 experience. Most of what I know and what I'm going to talk about is related to the campaign and the leveling experience and first impressions of the full game, excluding in-game, I guess. I do have to say that. You can see I'm standing here at the Gates of Hell at level 39, which is, I believe, the very end of the campaign. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't want to spoil too much of anything about the story because I think the story is pretty fantastic. I mean, I just want to get that out of the way. But you can see it's a little bit of a problem here. It's a level 45 plus. I am not qualified to be in this spot, so I'm going to teleport back to town and level up a few more levels before I venture my way into hell itself. I don't know exactly where the campaign ends, and I don't want to know. It's not something I want to spoil for myself. Really enjoyed the story here, and I think that's probably one of the most surprising outcomes for me, because I had listened to what some other content creators who had access to the game prior talk about the story, and they suggested that, you know, the story's pretty good, but it's a little bit of a letdown. Maybe, you know, they didn't make it sound like it was that amazing. But actually, especially when I got into around Act 5, there's 5 acts, so we can see all of the different zones here. We start over here, and this is Act 2 up here, Dry Steps, and we got Kyrgyzstan, and sorry, where's the other one? I don't know what the other one's name is. 1, 2, oh, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hawazar is the last one, and I think Act 5 especially does some pretty fantastic character development on a wide variety of side characters. You know, I wasn't that interested in side characters. I thought it was going to be all about Inarius and Lilith and, you know, your main character, and that was about it. But it turns out this story has a lot more to do with a lot of the different side characters, you know, the little people. They get quite a bit of story development, you know, about like 4 or 5 of them, actually. And it's not just like we get a lot of story development for, you know, 1 or 2 of those, but like all of them really get a pretty even lion's share of storytelling. And Act 5 especially, some really big payoffs there in the story, and I really enjoyed the lore that was developed in Act 5 especially. So you can look forward to that. I haven't heard anybody talk about specifically Act 5, but I thought it was a pretty incredible act in this game. And I've only basically just finished Act 5, so maybe I'm mistaken, and actually there's a little bit more to discover, and it's a lot better. Or maybe the ending is terrible. I don't know. But anyway, I got a mount. You get this somewhere around Act 4. Or Act 3, Act 4. And it's pretty cool. You can kind of like run around fast. Once you get out of town, you can use the spur mechanic, and you can just kind of go a lot faster, and you can pick up... Oh! Or you can get a streamer client and just make literally the first monster you find is a goblin. That could be the case too. I haven't warmed up, but anyway, kind of a rotation here. Something of a rotation. I'm supposed to vulnerable him up with the steel grass first, and then, there we go, rend the crap out of him like that, and he's dead. He's dead. Let's see if I get a legendary. Probably not, but I don't even have to worry about that goblin because he's dead. Okay, no legendary. We used to have guaranteed legendary off of goblins in the beta, but anyway, streamer client, still real. Actually, I'm just kidding. I've had pretty bad luck with legendaries, to be honest. I think there's a legendary that drops off the last boss of every act. It seems like it anyway. And I've had to make a few of my own legendary through completing some of the dungeons. One of the very important dungeons I did, and if you're playing a barbarian and you want to do bleed like what I was doing, you absolutely got to do Molewood. This dungeon right here gave me this ring affix right here. Yeah. You have a up to 30% chance to gain 20 Fury when Rend deals direct damage. That is synergizes with increased Fury regeneration mods from like Rallying Cry, improved Rallying Cry, things like that, which is really important. It allows me to basically just Rend spam on top of a vulnerable monster. I make the monsters vulnerable with Steel Grass. By Rupture, I get some increased attack speed. Bonuses there. The vulnerability persists. I knock myself out of the GCD, it seems like it anyway, through the Rallying Cry, Berserk around the same time, and I just start spamming Rend just repeatedly. And I don't know, let's see if we can kind of see what that looks like with a proper test, because a goblin goblin's not exactly the same. So I tend to start every fight with Enrage, obviously. See if I can find an actual pack of monsters here. Maybe not. It's not going to be that impressive on a bunch of non-uniques. But you can see all the monsters level up with me. And, some people like it, some people hate it. Or what have you. I don't really see any monsters, sadly. I guess I should get on my horse. Maybe do a little driving around. Okay, here we go. Apparently you can, once this cooldown's up here, you can just, slam into them. Okay, it looks something like that, except that I messed it up a little bit and didn't keep vulnerability on because I didn't actually use my abilities all in the right time. But if I time it right, time it well, I have enough attack speed, and even with just a 2-second vulnerable off of Steel Grass, which I'm spec'd into, it works out really nice. Alright, so anyway, yeah, okay, so there I was able to actually do the combo, except I didn't have my Rallying Cry up. But anyway, it looks something like that, so that is kind of my strat, and it works well. If monsters are away, I can chain them in and, just rend them straight after. I really like Steel Grass, but I didn't see anybody make a build for this. I think it's really, really one of the best abilities you can do in a rend build, because I press A here. Steel Grasp also makes enemies vulnerable for 2.5 seconds, which is pretty crazy. Also gives me Berserking for 2 seconds, which is a damage multiplier and everything. So Steel Grasp is some of the best sort of improvements to it on the back end. And Vulnerable is like the secret sauce to doing real damage, especially when you don't have gear or whatever. But anyway, we're gonna pour back to town, just kind of show you a little bit of combat, see what it's like. This is basically the build that I was gonna run. Per my build guide, leveling build guide. Just kind of one last time around. Here's what it looks like. Thought there was a way to expand this, but oh yeah, here it is. Okay. So I just use Flay, has some synergies with Bleed, alt max Rend up this way, Rallying Cry up this way. Basically this is all damage. These are where some of the next points are going. I'm not really invested into shouts unlike some build guides, so I mean these are some really powerful points if you are, but I'm not. Definitely want swiftness, 125% increase, or 125% movement speed is a soft cap, not counting special abilities, so you don't want to put yourself above 125%. If we go in here and we can see my movement speed is 123.5, so that's a very good number. To have 100, anything above 125 for that number out of combat doesn't give you anything, I think. Get some crowd control here. I think the least important ability I have on here is Rupture, but I like it because, you know, it gives me a bunch of attack speed after I'd used that there, and yeah, it does some other things too. And it's really cool, and obviously it finishes off a monster if they're bleeding really hard and they're a dangerous elite. I can just finish them off in one blow right there. So that's pretty cool. Plus, it just looks cool. It's kind of the flavorful ability of the build, the one that's there more for style than anything else, but I kind of like it because it makes me feel like I'm playing, you know, not just a D3 Barbarian, if you will. Wrath of the Berserker, because I like berserking, and this is basically a pure damage build that dips pretty hard into vulnerable and berserking. Some extra points into berserking here. Yeah, so berserking lasts a really long time. Unconstrained over here. I can't really do gushing wound because I'm not prioritizing crit. I don't have crit gear. Unbridled rage doesn't really work with the synergy with the ring here because it makes it costs too much. And I even have, you know, I happen to find this ring. I think this is really the only decent. Yeah, this is the only decent legendary that I dropped. It's from the last boss of Act 5, I guess. Most of these other legendaries, this was a legendary that I dropped and then re-imprinted on a different pair of pants. This was the only legendary affix that I dropped outside of a boss. It even rolled lower than it's supposed to because it was really low level, I guess. All the other legendaries were from codexes, like the boots. There were codex that I put on the boots after I managed to swap over them successfully to movement speed. And I was like, okay, well, these are decent enough boots. Fury cost reduction is good. Cooldown reduction is good. Crit damage, not so good for Rend. Attack speed's okay. Vulnerable damage is super good. All kinds of close damage, slowed enemies. You know, that kind of stuff is all really good. Another amulet that dropped off an Act boss. Not all that great. But anyway, you're gonna get to see a little bit of, or you got to see a little bit of Act 2 footage. What you saw at the very opening of the video was Act 2, and so that was just kind of a while back. You know, it was much lower level. But anyway, the builds come together pretty well. It's very unreliant on legendary powers. Even if I threw off this ring, like, this wouldn't be that big of a deal. This ring here, the build would function totally fine without any legendary affixes whatsoever. You know, my weapons, no legendaries to speak of. They're all just kind of level appropriate, I guess. And yeah, the build performs pretty well. Totally rips apart bosses. There was only one hard boss I felt, and it was the boss that I don't want to try to spoil the story, but a summoning takes place and the bad guy flees, and then we're left to kill like some cannibal king or something like that. He's some really big, he's like basically a giant barbarian character, and he does crazy damage. It was cool though because I built my character as kind of a DPS race character, and I don't know if you can handle like kiting that character or out defending him or whatever, but I definitely felt like that boss was a double down effect of me just trying to outdo him, and I would just run out of potions really fast because he just do so much damage. It was hard to avoid, and I would just stand there and just wail on him, and he would wail on me, and it was truly an epic barbarian boss fight. I died like 4 times, I think. Most bosses I one-shotted. I might have died like once because I started the fight without full potions up. I really do like the potion system here. I think it's a cool way to kind of regulate. You know, instant potion life is not that interesting, but having like a cap to it, I can't just, like in Diablo 2, you can just equip as many potions as you want and you're good, right? Full rejuvenation potions or whatever. That's pretty dumb design, not gonna lie. Of course it was fine back in the day, but this is definitely a much superior system, and I do like this even better than PoE's recovery system with the life flasks and stuff. I think the potion, because you always have the potion. It's not like it's something that's you have to, like, you know, major sacrifice all your flasks to get it. It's no crazy decision like there. It's just something you kind of build into the build if you can, or if you want to take advantage of it that way. Fury management is fine. There's something important to note here that, like, let's see, the one-handers have faster attack speed than the two-handers, and Flay starts off with this here. It starts off, why is it, that's weird. Oh, there we go. You can see that I can swap by pressing the middle mouse button. I can swap between dual wield and two-hander. So maybe I do more damage with two-hander, but I'm going to attack slower with that. So it's kind of an important thing that you might not know about. Is you can actually control which weapons for your arsenal you're doing, as long as it's eligible for that. So attacking with the two-handers for Flay, and then rending with the big, or sorry, attacking dual wield with Flay, and then the big two-hander is for Rend. And of course this does synergize with one of these legendary, yeah, this one I guess. But I don't really care about this legendary effect. So yeah, quick recap. The story is great. I've talked about this before in the beta. The sound design, the ambience, the visceralness of the combat. These are the things that really set Diablo apart from Path of Exile. I know a lot of my audience is Path of Exile, so you know, it's got some pros and cons, and the big pros are definitely, in this case, for this game, I think, storytelling, the ambience, moment-to-moment gameplay, combat, actually having to use like more than one button to feel like, you know, you're getting more out of the combat experience. And some people really want to get a one-button build ASAP. I don't really like that. I think it's a better game if you have a few buttons. I don't like, and I don't like being encouraged to use like a million buttons either. I really do actually kind of like the system of like 6 major abilities. And I actually even like ultimates. I know some people don't like ultimate abilities. The cooldown ain't that bad, man. It's like, it feels like it's only like 30 seconds. I start a boss fight with my Berserker ability, and yeah, you know, I'm not like absolutely destroying bosses ASAP, but it feels good because like I'll go in and I'll open the fight with Berserker, I'll knock him down real hard, I'll get like the first potion checkpoint real quick before I even need to use a potion, and then, you know, I'm kind of slogging through the middle of the fight a little bit, and then Berserk comes down at the end and just like basically just execute the crap out of him at the end, and lining up all the cooldowns that way. It definitely reminds me a little bit of MMO cooldown rotations, things like that. I miss that a little bit. A little bit more intelligent strategic gameplay, timing your DPS windows, things like that. Definitely feels good when things line up and you execute it well. Of course, we'll be working ourselves up to having a Barb that won't need to worry about that, because I'm just going to absolutely one-shot and annihilate everything that comes in my path. We're a few days away from that, though. Of course, this was only day 1. So I really like the way the game is shaping up. It's exactly what I hoped for. The story elements turned out to be a little bit better than I expected, but everything else, I had set the bar pretty high. As somebody who really loves Diablo games and came from Diablo to PoE, played Diablo for 10 years, Diablo 2, Diablo 3, my expectations were pretty high. Yes, even with Diablo 3, I know a lot of people crap on that game. I thought it was terrifically wonderful experience. The first few months, I know it had a lot of errors and bugs and stuff, but outside of that, I enjoyed it terrifically. I know I'm going to be playing hardcore in this game eventually, because fortunately or unfortunately, the game's a little bit easy, apparently. A little bit easy. It looks like the leveling experience of a Barbarian is probably going to be the most challenging time of playing a Barbarian, ironically. You know, if you're good at the game, you know how to like gear up and make builds and stuff. To that note, builds aren't all that complicated in this game. It's not like Path of Exile either. You can't mess things up too bad, and you get to just refund things no problem. There's crafting, there's salvaging items, there's the occultist that swaps over different nodes. Let's see, do I have any of that gear on right here? I think I do, right? No, really? Oh, okay, so these gloves, I swapped them over, and then I imprinted basic skills, gained 15% increased attack speed. That was from a codex from a dungeon as well, I think in Act 2. Really annoyed by the gem space deal here. Yeah, that's pretty annoying. But anyway, here is... Yeah, I guess I'll just show you what I do. You notice that these different items sell for different prices. So I guess the very last thing I'll do is I'll just kind of show you. Typically, like, one thing I'll do is I'll just salvage all the magic items. Or, I mean, I'll salvage all the rare items because they give better materials, and then I'll just sell all the magic. And maybe, I guess, some of those that I had on there. And then I recently got some new gloves that, you know, these are not abilities I really want to play with, so I'm not going to use those. I'm just going to stash them, I think. Yeah, we can even mount up in town. You can mount up in combat, which is pretty crazy. I guess you can't mount up in a house. That's probably be about right. So this is literally all of the legendaries that I have. I guess I've Now, some of these are from Codex or whatever. Everybody gets this one. This is actually a campaign-specific legendary. Everybody gets, but most of these other ones are just from bosses. Again, I think only one legendary item dropped randomly for me, like off of a random elite, if you will. Or maybe it was a Resplendent Chest, actually. So a little disappointed in that. I mean, I'm not that disappointed. It just seemed like definitely a little bit of scarcity in legendary loot. Anyway, that's it for me on this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and you can ask me any questions that you have. I'm all smiles on this game. I definitely think it was worth the money for me anyway, and especially if I'm going to play it for a few weeks or even like a month or two, that is going to be great. I will most likely have experienced some pretty severe whiplash back into PoE when ExileCon comes out. I will be going to ExileCon, so obviously going to have to set Diablo down for that, if I haven't before then. And then we come back and I'll be hyped for the new PoE League, no doubt. So, yeah. For now, it's Diablo time. We're going to continue. I'm going to be coming out with a day 2, day 3, maybe some more stuff beyond that. You're going to see some outrageous spin to win content from me, doing some pretty hard, or whatever the hardest dungeon content is, here within a week or so, no doubt. Yep, that's it. Take care for now. See you out there in Sanctuary.